All right, guys, now let's check our answers and see how you did. So we left off number 1. We said this was the setup that we have right here, volume, and we started. So this is what you should come up with. Whoops. When you multiply 3x times x, you get times 7, you get 21x squared. And then over here, you have 336. All right, so then I went ahead. I'll put in a different, right in blue. So then I solved this one by using that square root method. So we divided both by 21. Getting 16 equals x squared, taking the square root. I have two answers, but remember, when I sub the -4 back in, that's my width. I can't have a negative distance, that doesn't count. So this is the answer that works. But the directions actually, the question actually says find the length and width of the box. So then I substituted 3 times 4 and got 12. And then 4, x is 4. So I wrote that in here. My length is 12 centimeters, my width is 4 centimeters, and you can check this by doing 12, this answer, times this answer, times the 7 they gave us. And if you do that, you do get 336 cubic centimeters. Okay, so make sure you label centimeters when you're listing your length and width. All right, for number 2, and sorry it's a little scrunched, we set up this scenario. Now what they wanted us to do is how far away is the golf ball. So we're looking for this point right here. All right, so what we had done was we had gone ahead and we said we want to put 0 in. So what I have in black is what you could do. Now I solved it two ways. You could solve this by factoring. I factored out an x, so when I factor an x out, I'm left with negative x plus 5. So if I were to redistribute that, I'd get negative x squared, which worked, and then plus 5x. So that's the same thing, it's just written in a different form. And then we know that when we have two factors, we can set them both equal to 0 if that's what we have over here, and it is. So x equals 0 is one answer, and negative x plus 5, I would go ahead and add x to both sides. I didn't show that step, but I get x equals 5. So I have two answers, and that makes sense. This answer is 0, 0, and this is 5, 0. Okay, so the answer here is how far away does the golf ball land? 5 yards. Now I also show you over here, you could do this using the quadratic formula, and I stepped that out. You get the same two answers, and the only one that answers the question is 5. Again, make sure when you do it, as I kind of wrote in here, I can add it in here, that you label it yards. Okay. All right, number 3, this one, part A, I think was the trickiest of the whole page. They want to know when is there a height of 4 feet. So we had already set it up. We said when 4 equals 0, or 4 is in the place of h. Now we have to get everything on the same side. So notice I subtracted 4, and that's what you see in this line that I have in black. Then I went ahead and did a equals negative 16, b equals 18, and c is negative 4. And I didn't show you these, my whole quadratic formula, but that was the method that I used to solve this, because this one is not factorable. You can see by the answers it's a little crazy. You couldn't use square roots because you have a t term here, a linear term. So you had to use the quadratic formula. If you work this one out and you're not getting it correct, by all means see me, talk with me and I can talk you through it. But these should be the two answers you get. So kind of a visual for what that means is this person jumps and then they come down. So this might be 1 foot in the air, because we're talking about feet. This might be 2 feet in the air, 3 feet in the air, 4 feet in the air. We don't know how high she gets. But what that's saying is that at this time right here, at 0.31 seconds, this person is 4 feet in the air. Then they continue to go up, and then they come down, and then at 0.82 seconds, they are 4 feet in the air again. So that's why there's two answers here. This would be the 0.31 seconds, and this here is the 0.82. Okay, so that's why there's two answers there. Now, if we just go back to the general portion, which is kind of what we're more familiar with, part B asked you after how many seconds does your friend land on the ground? So these numbers that I just wrote tell us when they're 4 feet, then when the person's 4 feet in the air. But this next question, to really understand what they're saying, is they want to know, obviously they started at 0 seconds, how many seconds in does it take them to land? So they want to know this number right here, what that x value would be whenever y is 0. So that's why we have 0 equals, another smiley. I factored out a 2t. You could do quadratic formula here. I just factored out 2t, just checking it again. I get 2 times negative 8 is negative 16t squared. 2 times 9 is 18t. All right, I set each of them equal to 0. T equals 0 is this one right here. That makes sense. Here, I subtract 9 on both sides and divide by negative 8, and I get 9/8 of a 9/8 seconds. So a little bit more than 1 second, 1 and 1/8 seconds. And that's the answer here. Okay, so that's my answer. All right, last one. They gave us the area, the length, and the width. So what we have in blue here is what we started with. I went ahead and I FOILed, as we had said. I simplified a little bit. I subtracted 2 and 9 to get everything on one side. Put that smiley in because you can't solve it unless you have 0 on one side. So maybe the smiley will help you remember that. Alrighty, and then you could do the quadratic formula. I've noticed that 8 went into it, so I factored an 8 out. Then factoring this here, I get 2x plus 7x minus 4. I set this equal to 0, this equal to 0, and that equal to 0 each term. 0 doesn't equal 8, so it doesn't even make sense. I get negative 7 over 2. Well, if I put a negative 7 over 2 in here, I'm not going to get what I want. So I would get a negative number. So the only one that works is 4. Whoops. So then the question then said, find the value of x and then give dimensions. So the last thing I did, and I know there's a lot written on here, is I put 4 in for x. So 4 times 4 is 16, plus 3 is 19. 4 times 4 is 16, minus 5 is 11. So my answers are 9 feet and 11 feet are my length and my width. Or 19 feet, sorry. 19 feet and 11 feet. And if I multiply 19 times 11, I get 209. All right, that's a lot of material. I know it's only 4 questions, but there's a lot there. So please feel free to rewatch it. Visit me. We'll work through every problem individually, one by one if you'd like. But thank you for your hard work with it. I appreciate it. Bye, guys.